Hello, folks. This is Grey Galloway. I'm very excited for the ETA Files.
Folks, welcome back to ETA Files this week. We got a young buck coming up. I talk about him all the time, man. And it's so awesome on this program to have some guys that have been in this business for 50 years and then to have this young buck, the one and only Grey Galloway. How you doing, Grey? Thanks for coming on.
I'm doing well, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Just I sit and I look at you, Grey, and I got to be honest with you. I'm jealous. You're handsome. You're young. You've got your whole life in front of you, and you do a great job, man. I never knew anything about you until a few people started telling me, "Hey, you got to check out this Grey Galloway," and I was like, "That number one, that's the coolest name in the world." But then, like, I started checking out. I was like, "Oh, this guy's got something going on. Got something going on." So, anyways, thank you so much for joining me this week. That's awesome. Great.
Sure.
Just tell me a little about yourself. Like, okay, where are you from? What do you do? How old are you? What's your life like?
Well, I'm from Sevierville, Tennessee, and I'm 18 years old, and I've been an Elvis Tribute Artist for about 4 years now.
How did you get started? I mean, you're 18 years old. You're young. I mean, obviously, you're still young. 18 years old. You've been 14. You started. How did you get started? I mean, I think I could be wrong. But like most 14, 18-year-old kids this day and age aren't like, "Hey man, I'm going to go and perform like Elvis." What happened? How'd you get involved?
Yeah, it's very interesting like that, especially in this generation. You don't see it much, but how I got started was, I mean, I've always been an Elvis fan ever since I can remember. But back whenever I first got started, was from a guy named Michael Chambliss. And he's another ETA. Yeah, he's the one who got me started because he lives here in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and he used to work in a place called Blue Green here in Pigeon Forge with my stepmother, and found out now that I was an Elvis fan and said, "Hey, you kind of look like Elvis, so I think you should join this contest." And it was a Pigeon Forge contest at the Grand Majestic Theater for Jason Sherry Management, and that was my very first contest. But yeah, he was the one who kind of just pushed me towards it and got me started.
That's interesting because I have reached out to Michael Chambliss just this week to be on ETA Files, and he said yes. So we're gonna coordinate and make it happen. So, you talk about someone like Michael Chambliss. Now, Michael, has a long history all the way from, all the Pigeon Forge stuff, but also here in Branson. He was with a number of shows in Branson as well. So, and he's an amazing singer. My mom actually thinks Michael Chambliss is the best in the world. So it's kind of funny. We competed a couple times at the Ultimate, and my mom was like, "I like that Michael Chambliss. I tell you what." So, yeah, it's kind of, I tell Michael that all the time, but it reminds me of a cat that you might know. I don't know if you ever met him. Have you heard of Logan Ramey?
Yeah, I'm good friends with Logan. Yeah.
Yes. So it's interesting. Logan had a similar experience with a guy named Gary Wesley, who I want to also get on ETA Files. But it's cool that these guys that have been around for a bit are, reaching out to this younger generation like yourself and like saying, "You got what it takes, so come on." I mean, you get on stage for the first time. Was that weird? I mean, or is it just something you feel like, hand,
Well,
glove, it fits?
yeah, when I first showed up, I thought this was, sort of just, I mean, I hate to say it, but I just thought it was an Elvis impersonator contest. I didn't know how serious it was gonna be. So I showed up there, and all I had was just a pink button-up shirt and black pants, and I just, all right, I'm just gonna go sing. But I saw all these guys in the jumpsuits, I was just like, oh. So it was more serious than I was expecting. So, but whenever I went up there, like right at that last minute, I was like, okay, now I got to be like serious Elvis, not just. I mean, I was gonna take it seriously anyway, but I mean, it was more serious than what I thought it was gonna be. So when I went up there, I kid you not, it I was so nervous because it all just swapped because I didn't think it was gonna be like that.
Right.
So I thought, all right, I gotta move. So I was pumped up, and so I picked every single moving song of the '50s you could imagine, and I must have done every single Elvis move in that song because I thought to impress the judges and to win the contest, whoever moves the most. That's just what I thought at the time. So, but that's what it was like for my first contest.
And you know what? Only someone young can do that because I mean, like, that's awesome. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen a number of guys do that. And um, I was fortunate enough to start in this business a little bit older where I just couldn't move. But you guys, you 18-year-old kids are just like, I'm not calling you a kid, you're a man. You 18-year-old young men are just, you've got everything. I mean, you've got, the body, the joints, the ability to go out there and do it. It's fascinating to me because a lot of us older fellas, like I'm 52, we'll sit and watching and just be like, I can't. Oh, wow. That looks like it hurts. Oh, wow. You know what I mean? Um, what songs did you sing, that you were doing every Elvis move to?
My very first song I sang on stage was Heartbreak Hotel, and I did I Need Your Love Tonight and Big Hunk of Love from what I can remember. That's all I can remember. But I kid you not, for Heartbreak Hotel, it's got some moves in there, but it's not like it's a constant thing like Hound Dog or Mean Woman Blues or anything like that. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't even go out there with a guitar because Elvis went out on guitar with Heartbreak Hotel. I was moving. I mean, you couldn't tell the difference if I was doing Elvis or if I was trying to be Jim Carrey, just moving around being all goofy. Like it was odd. So, but yeah, no, I tried to pick all the moving songs to impress. But yeah, those are the three I can remember.
How'd it go for you?
Well, I didn't make finals, but actually, I did make fan favorite on my very first contest. So that really did mean a lot to me on my very first contest. So that kind of gave me some more motivation. And then the next month, I believe I went to Brunswick, Georgia for my second contest, and I was a lot more serious then. And then I started really practicing and watching all the footage and whatnot. So
All right. Do you feel, and I see the jumpsuits behind you. You're 18 years old. I know you do 50s. You obviously do 50s by the songs that you just mentioned, but do you dabble in the other eras?
maybe I bear. I like to do the other things. I mean, really in a contest, I strictly stay with the '50s, and I may throw in some '60s in there, but that's where I want to say in a contest. But if I got my own show or something going on, then I like to throw on the jumpsuit just to because I like all the eras of Elvis, and I think it's fun. I don't think you know it's gonna be any harm if I throw on a jumpsuit. I know I'm not 30 years old, but it's for fun. But in a contest, I strictly stay in the '50s because it seems to do me a little bit better.
Yeah, I think that's smart. And I don't think listen, I tell Logan this, and I love Logan. I absolutely love Logan Ramey, but he is all about the '70s, you know, and he's just like you, except he says, well, I'm going to, I'll throw on the stuff, for the '50s, but I'm really doing '70s anyways. I might be wearing the clothes, but he's all about the '70s. So it's interesting. The guys are Elvis fans. And man, before I talked to Logan Ramey, I was thinking, you know what? If you're in a contest, if you're younger, do the younger stuff. But man, he had a great argument for it. He's like, I'm an Elvis fan because I love Elvis in the '70s. You know what I mean? So why would I do anything different than that in a contest? Because I'm just trying to pay tribute to the reason that I'm here in the first place. This is Elvis in the '70s. And I get it. I think I think it's a good argument. What do you think about that?
I think it's great. I think he does great in the 70s. I think he would do well in the 50s and 60s. He's a great tribute artist. And as for me, if if I were to do 70s in a contest, not saying I couldn't pull it off, but everybody has their own thing that they're most comfortable with. So let's say Logan goes up there and does 50s. He may not be as comfortable if he wants to wear a jumpsuit. You go see him do Jailhouse Rock, he'd pull it off. But you put on a jumpsuit and you go see him do Poke Salad, you can tell he had fun with that. That's what it's like for me. I don't put in the 70s songs for a contest because I don't, and you don't really see 50s much anyway. We're kind of rare, so that's why I like to stay in a contest.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. It's very wise, very wise. I do like though that you dabble in the other stuff and whatnot. What are shows like for you? How often do you work? You know,
My main focus right now is really just contests. I'll do some shows here and there. I'm actually on the Gig Salad app that I got recently, which Michael Chambliss did tell me about that. So he's like, you gotta sign up for this. So I did, and as soon as I did that, I started getting, plenty of gigs. In fact, I got a summer job off of it. So I'll be working at the Wayback Hotel, performing on the side stage by a pool and every Friday and Saturday and Tuesday. So that opened up a lot of doors, but I'll be busy over the summer, but right now I mainly do contests in my own shows.
I got you. I got you. Listen, I'll be honest with you, Gray. I've seen some video of you, and dude, you're coming. You're up and coming, no doubt about it. You've got it. You've got a great look. You just an incredible smile, body, the hair, everything is great. You can sing, which is awesome, but like everything else, all right, you've got all the right ingredients, all right, but that moment of mixing them together and coming out with the final recipe, it requires stage time. And I say this to everyone who comes on that's younger. Stage time is it's everything, because it puts you in a class above yourself, because not everybody gets stage time, and you're getting it this summer, dude. That's awesome to hear. I respect it. And I did something to get stage time. I was making hardly anything. I was much older than you too, but man, you have to have that stage time to be able to get to where you want to be able to do this. So that's awesome news, man. How do you feel about that?
It feels great. It's gonna be hot, but it's outside. But I think, I just think it's wonderful. I mean, they called me in and I got the job, and I'll be starting in May, in the first weekend of May. So it's coming up very soon. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And May through how long?
Well, until they start not getting people, because we're gonna work that out towards the end of the summer. But usually, whenever things start dying down and whatnot,
Right. I got
usually,
you.
so I would take a guess, maybe August.
All right.
So,
Cool. What was the name of the hotel again?
the Wayback Hotel in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Way back. Listen, folks out there, Wayback Hotel, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Go check it out. Grey Galloway's there. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay. So you're doing all these contests right now, and man, contests are a great way. They're a great way to get the name out there. I just did a Friday night mic drop for all my podcasts, but there was someone I mentioned that I was going to talk to Grey Galloway on there, and a bunch of people said, "Oh man, I saw Grey at Portage. He's awesome." It's a good way to get your name out there, win, lose, or draw. How do you, after that first contest experience, and understand maybe the level of talent in this Elvis world, so to speak, how do you approach contests? What's your game plan? What's your mindset? Do you have a plan? Or do you just say, you know what, I'm going to go in there and do the best I can, let chips fall where they may? Where's your mind at? Because everyone has a different story about this. So what's yours?
It's taken, I've had different ideas about it, ever since I've started about how these contests go. And right now, I've come to the conclusion that you absolutely don't know how it's going to end in the contest. You never do. Like, there's so many guys who would say, hey, I did this contest. I didn't think I was going to win. And I thought I was going to get last place and I got first. Well, there's a lot of contests that are like that. So really, since I don't know how it's going to end up, but I know that I'm going to deliver a good performance, and that's just all I want to do is perform. So really, I just go in there for the fun of it, and I hope for the best in the contest. But I try not to overthink about the results. But all I know is I'm doing Elvis justice out of all of it. But contest always a lot of fun. I love the interaction with the fans and whatnot, and all the guys. I love just hanging out backstage, and you really feel like you're a part of something special. But as far as contests, just go in it for fun. You cannot overthink it because it will mess with your head. It will.
It's Lil. Hey, that's wisdom right there speaking, brother. That's awesome to hear you've already figured that out because that's the truth. It will mess with your head, no doubt about it. I can't wait for you to be in Branson, man. You're coming to the Branson Elvis Festival.
I'm excited. I've always wanted to go to Branson. Now I'm finally going. I
We
love it.
we we have we do things a little different. We up the production level pretty high. Um and it's fun. I shared some of the things we're not going to tell right now because this is going to come out before the Branson Elvis Festival, but there's some fun things that we're going to be doing because the finals are on May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. Whatever that means. But yeah, I'm excited for you to be there. It's all about elevating you guys and just having a good time. Uh, so what's your family like? I mean, you're young still. Family support often comes into play, especially with younger folks doing this. What's your family like? I mean, I talked to Cody DNF. He was last weekend. His family plays such a huge role. I mean, this guy's an ultimate champion. And it plays such a huge role in everything he's doing, and it has allowed him to literally be able to put, his mom on payroll. That's huge. That's awesome. What's your family like in terms of their involvement with you, the support, all that?
Well, I wish I could take everybody to all these contests, but most of the time it's me and my dad and my grandmother, and we'll be going to these contests. And my dad, he's talked to a lot of these guys, and he's done a lot for me as far as you know helping me put myself out there. And my grandmother, she's hair, makeup, all that stuff. She's great at it. She actually used to be a beautician, so it's great for her to come along with us. But it's always great to have them. We're always traveling together doing stuff. It's a lot of fun. So that's how they're involved, and I'm very blessed to have them.
That's awesome, man. You got a good head of hair there, don't you?
I I hope I do. I mean, it's never been this long before. Actually, I'm in the middle of growing it out because I am doing 70s next weekend at the Lexington, North Carolina Elvis Festival. So I'm trying to, you know, and I got nothing going on until Branson. So once all this comes off, it'll be for 50s, and it's gonna feel weird because I have so much hair. It's gonna feel like GI Blues, but yeah, no, that's I'm trying to do 70s at the moment.
I got you. You got a head full of hair. Is your natural color black? You have to color it?
No, it's a very dark brown. I could pull it off with my natural hair color, but I mean, from the stage, I like to play it safe, and I just like having black hair like Elvis. So
That's cool. You like Elvis movies?
I love his movies.
Yeah.
I think they're great. I think they're very underrated. Some of them, but I love them. There's some of them that I'd love to see that are just not free on the television that I'm very interested in. But I love his movies.
Yeah, man. It's funny. Here we are, 2025, and if you're ever down and out, you can pop in a couple of Elvis movies. There's certain ones, man, you can watch it and you just kind of walk away, kind of feeling good. It's not too heavy. It's kind of fun to watch, and a lot of people call those movies campy, but I love them. I love those Elvis movies, man. I think the earlier ones were. I think he was spectacular. I think King Creole. I think he was a heck of an actor.
Yeah, King Creole is one of his greatest movies. There's one that I've really wanted to see is Follow That Dream and Kid Galahad. Really, Kid Galahad, because Elvis as a boxer. That's cool. So there's a lot of them that I want to see, but my favorite Elvis movie is actually Jailhouse Rock. I like that more than King Creole. I really couldn't tell you why. I haven't really just sat and thought about it, but I really like Jailhouse Rock. It's a very good movie.
So those are my top two favorites. And then probably third, I gotta go with Blue Hawaii. Just it is campy, I admit it, but man, it's fun. I don't know, I love it. But Jailhouse Rock, and there's some really cool, both in Jailhouse Rock and King Creole. Man, you look at other movies from that era, that time, late 50s. I think those movies stand up, you know, in that time frame with other popular movies. Whereas it got campy later on, in the 60s, after he got out of the army. It was just a money-making machine, that's what it was. But man, those early ones, he was in a great position, and I think those movies stand up with other movies at that time. It's almost like Elvis suffered from being Elvis. People didn't take him serious because they wanted to pigeonhole him only as an actor, or I mean, as a singer, musician. You know what I mean? They couldn't handle him being good at both, but I think he was.
Yeah. I think he wanted to be, what he wanted to be. He wanted to be one of those good actors, like Jim and Dean and whatnot. But really towards the end of the movies, and I love his movies, like in '67 and '68. I know he didn't, but I still love him, and I think the best thing he could have done. Well, I don't really think he could have, but I really wish he could have performed a little earlier in the '60s, a little bit more, because those movies were just, he was not having it. He was not having it no more. And thankfully it's '60. That's just how the Elvis history is. But I really wish he would have performed in the '60s and overseas too.
Yeah,
that would have been awesome.
Yep. Kind of funny, kind of crazy. We step back here. We're in 2025, and we look back and we realize, man, Elvis never went to another country to perform outside of 3 times, I think, in Canada. It's like, wow. Yet you go to Australia or Japan or, Finland or Brazil or, anywhere in the world, and they all know Elvis. It's kind of crazy.
It's weird. I mean, could you imagine what it'd be like if he did perform overseas? With as popular as he is, that would be amazing. There's just so much you can think about and imagine if he had that opportunity. I wish he did, because that would have been awesome.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of, and I'm hearing it. I'm hearing that you have an understanding. You've studied Elvis. You know what you're talking about when it comes to him. Not everybody has that, especially the historical side. You mentioned James Dean. Not everybody knows that, who gets into this business, because they just want the attention, and it's a quick grab. But it feels like this is more serious. You actually are an Elvis fan. And that's where, like, when was the first time you saw Elvis? Like, how did that happen?
Well, obviously, whenever I was a kid, I almost want to say, yeah, it's weird, but I want to, I remember it as my dad. I was over at his house. We were watching a movie, and the movie was Forrest Gump. And you know that famous Elvis scene where, he's playing the guitar and Forrest is dancing. And I was just like, so who's he supposed to be?
I thought of moving my legs, swing my hips. Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was like, that's Elvis. And I was just like, so who's Elvis? And so he didn't even tell me. He just went, you ain't nothing but a hound dog. Just started singing it, and I was just like, okay. So I thought it was a little weird at the moment, but then later I got out my little iPad as a kid and just looking up Elvis. I was like, oh, so that's Elvis. It's a pretty cool guy. So that's how I remember it starting.
It's funny, man. Funny story about Forrest Gump. My son was born in 1994. And during that year, that's the year that Forrest Gump came out. And Forrest is a family name. My son's name is Forrest. And we had decided we were going to name him Forrest. All right. And then that summer, Forrest Gump, the movie, starts being advertised. And we were like, there's no way this movie will ever be anything and whatnot. And he was born in November. We named him Forrest. And to this day, here we are. I'm talking to an 18-year-old kid or man in 2025, and he's talking about Forrest Gump. And my son is 30 years old. And I'm just like, I'm sorry. He's had to go through his whole life, just everyone being like, life is like a box of chocolates and all that stuff. So I feel bad for him, but anyway, it's awesome. Okay, so you're in this Elvis world now. You're doing everything right. You're up and coming. You're getting opportunities. Is this the kind of thing, Gray, that you look at and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna go down this road, man. I'm gonna try to make a living out of this.
I'm really interested to see how it's gonna go. I'm gonna have a backup plan because you never know if this can go full time or not. But if it does, that would be amazing. I would love to do it full time. But I plan to graduate and get a real job and perform on the side, and then see how things would go if depending on what opportunities I get. And if it gets full time, great. If it doesn't, then I'll continue to have a job and do it on the side and build my career from there. That's my plan.
It's probably smart. The ultimate. How many ultimate qualifiers have you been to? This is Branson coming up it's an ultimate qualifier. But what is, what I guess, is it your goal to get to the ultimate? What would that mean for you?
I really want to be in the ultimate. Ever since I've been of age, I've always known that's what I want to do. So I've done about 4 or 5 ultimate qualifiers. I came close, but I'm really wanting to fight for that title. I really do want to be there and experience that. And to be an ultimate Elvis, that's a big deal. It's a very big deal. And sounds great to be that. So I'm trying to qualify and make it there. That would just mean everything. So I really, really want to be in it.
Yeah. I think you've got what it takes. I mean, I'm excited to see you in person. I've seen video, like I said. There's a lot of things, man. At the age of 18, I'm like, wow, this kid's got something, and the expectations are going to be high for you. You also are in a field of talent that have that same, you know, that same skill set. You know, they've got it. You know, you're coming up against a number of guys just in Branson alone. But guess what? That's what it is. You know, if your goal is to be an ultimate champion, at some point you're going to have to beat everyone, right? You know, and a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't wrap their head around that, and they limit themselves. I've actually had people say, "Well, I'm not going to go to this contest because this guy's here, this guy's performing there," and I'm kind of like, "What's your goal? Is your goal to win everything? Because you're going to have to beat everyone in order to win it all. You know what I mean?"
You know, yeah, once you reach the ultimate, and then all these people who have qualified, it starts adding up. And you're like, no, I'm gonna go to this contest. Let's say you win it. And you go in, and you're in the ultimate, and you're like, you know, because these guys are good. There's a lot of good talent in these ultimate qualifiers. It's different territory than in any other contest that I have done. But yeah, no, there are a couple guys who do that, but you know, I politely disagree because you really got to put yourself out there, and they're fun. I understand they're expensive, but you know, it's a good way to put yourself out there. If it weren't for these contests, I wouldn't be here in an interview with you right now.
Well,
So,
listen, it's like trial by fire, man. You gotta lay it out there sometimes, you know. And sometimes, man, it's nice to say, I just want to know where I rate. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's fun. I love your attitude though, Gray. I mean, I do. I love the fact that you're like, you know, win, lose, or draw, I'm going to go out there and perform and have some fun. I'm not going to overthink it because I freaking love it. A lot of people don't have that mindset that are a lot older and have gone through more than you have gone through in just 4 years of doing this. So kudos to you, man. It sounds like you've got the right mindset.
thank you.
Did you get that from just you being you? You get that from your family? What do you get it from?
Well, you know, I can confidently say probably my dad. He he used to play football in at Auburn University. So his dad was a football coach. So I've always been raised, you know, simply like that. You know, like get your head in the game. You know, but don't overthink it. So, but I've always been raised like that, and you know, I don't like to overthink these contests.
That's awesome because I know what your dad's email address is, you know, and I know where Sevierville is. I have friends from there, which is funny. And I was like, you know, everyone in that area is Tennessee fans and volunteer fans, man, crazy volunteer fans. And your dad, I was like, he's an Auburn guy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of cool. I can't wait to meet both of you. I had a few phone calls with your dad, and he sounds like a cool guy. So that'll be cool. All right. So I ask everyone these questions just to get, kind of get their viewpoint on it because there's no right or wrong answer. But the bottom line is everybody has a different answer, and it's based upon you and your experience and everything. So if you were to meet Elvis Presley, okay, let's say you had a time machine, okay, Gray, and you could go back and you could meet him at any point in his life, any year, all right, and have 1 hour to talk to him. Where would you meet him at? What year? And what would you talk about? Go.
Thank you for asking this because I've been prepared for this question. I'm always prepared for this question, and it's very specific.
Oh,
I would want to meet him specifically in the year 1965.
okay. Wow.
I don't care where I am, but you know, 1965, and you know, because I would really like to talk to the guy on his, you know, the way his career is going. Obviously, I would thank him, no, but I mean, you know, no one was going to tell him, and he wondered where it was going. So obviously, I want to tell him that. And if I had an hour, then obviously maybe the first 30 minutes, I would just like to, thank him and just talk about, how much I love him. And then maybe, start going, so Elvis, you plan on getting back on stage? Of course, he would say yes. So that's why I would want to say 1965, the reason why is because I would want him to do Viva Las Vegas in 1964. So by the year 1965, I think he should have got back on stage by then. So, but yeah, I would tell him that you gotta get back on that stage. But obviously, I wouldn't want to start any drama. But now that we know the stories of the Colonel and whatnot, it'd be kind of risky to tell him that at the moment, especially if you just have 1 hour. But I would just tell him, you can still do movies, but I highly advise getting back on stage because I know that's what you want to do. So
Yeah. Do you think Elvis was in control enough of that? Do you think that the Colonel was just putting them through the ringer, work, 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 work? We got movies upon movies upon movies. We're making money. We'll get to this later on. Do you think that was the situation? Or do you think that Elvis, as much as he wanted to get back on stage, didn't want to fight the Colonel and say, we're getting back on the stage? Or do you think it was just a matter of, it had to build up enough angst about it that finally, came a moment in time where boom, 68 happened? What do you think?
I really think that he always knew that he wanted to get back on stage once he started to see that, man, I ain't been on a stage in a while. But I think that, he knew that they were getting kind of cheesy, but he was also committed. I think he was committed. I think he had a lot of patience in the '60s. I think he had patience.
Yeah.
I really, because he really wanted to be a great movie star, and he was, but he didn't view himself as one. So he was what he's doing. He's waiting for that film, that one film that he can just be proud of. That's what he wanted.
Yeah.
So I think he really just wanted a good movie, and that's why it took so long because he was just waiting and waiting. I'm sure he was satisfied with a couple movies that he made, but I really think he really wanted something special. So I think he was just patient with it. But after so long, finally fessed up and then came out with a 68, and thank God for that. Because if there wasn't 68 comeback special, there would be no international hotel for Elvis. I don't really know what would happen.
Yeah.
If you can,
I think it's awesome. I think the 68 comeback special is like the ultimate, I'm going to bet on myself kind of situation. And he did, and he won. I love that. I love that. You go out and you bet on yourself. And, cause man, you think about it, you're younger, like, whoever is out there right now, that's like the popular musician or music and whatnot, in 5 years down the road, they're probably not going to be there, and it's going to be someone new and upcoming, and that's what it was like for the first time. Elvis was it. He was here at the very beginning because he kind of created it, and, it opened so many opportunities with movies and everything else. But, he's doing all these movies, and the next thing you know, this British invasion happens, and it's like, oh, the Beatles, and they're taking the world by storm. And now who am I, And I think there's probably moments, and the other thing that's kind of sad is Elvis surrounded himself by a lot of people who, they were just yes men in some ways, I think there was one or two or three, that kind of had the ability to just say or challenge them. But I think a lot of them were just like, "Hey man, Elvis, you're awesome, man. We love you. You're the king of rock and roll." You hear that if you're surrounding yourself by people who are always telling you that, you believe it, and then it makes it hard to break out and do things like the 68. But he did. It's kind of wild, I guess, how it all went, to say the least. So, but we're here today because the 68 comeback special happened. I believe that with all my heart.
Yeah, I mean, it's if that didn't happen, then that would be then I really can't imagine anything happening for Elvis. I really can't. I don't know what it went. So that was a fantastic show. It was great. It really is. It's something good.
It's my favorite era of Elvis because when you think about it, you have the 50s and you have the Sun years, then you have the RCA years in the 50s, and then you have the moment before the Army, you have the early movie career, you have the movie career, and then you get into the 60s as it, is on the downward spiral. And all these things have multiple years and moments of time. The 68 comeback special was one moment in time. And like I said, it was like all the chips went in, all the chips were in on that, and it worked. And then after that, of course, you have the different eras of the 70s, from the Las Vegas Hilton to On Tour to Aloha and all these other things. But it's an entire era of Elvis, that was just one night, one show. I love it. I think it's awesome. So it's my favorite era. You might be able to tell that. So, what's the best part of being an Elvis tribute artist, Gray?
Really, just giving the fans, memories. They're back in their time, because it's really special for me because I'm so young, and there's not a lot of guys out there, like, not every 18-year-olds just like, man, I want to be an Elvis tribute artist. So it's really something special that I have that ability to be the young Elvis, because there's not a lot of guys out there who do that. And I think that's really something special to give those fans, something to watch like that, because you don't see it much. And especially just because I'm young, it fits. It fits. So that's what I do. I just love to please the crowd. I really enjoy doing that. That's my favorite part of being an Elvis tribute artist. It's fun, and giving justice to Elvis.
Oh, absolutely. Conversely, what's the worst part?
The worst part?
Yeah.
The worst part. Well, none of it's easy, but for me, I would have to say probably getting this stuff, because it's not cheap. So every bit that I make, I invest right back into it. So I would say that's the hard part. Because you want to make yourself look good and represent Elvis as best as you can. So I will say it's not easy. It's not easy to keep up with that, because he had everything. He had cars, guns, the jumpsuits. He had everything, and to keep up with that, so you can deliver yourself a good performance to these people, it's not easy. So it's really hard to keep up, but it's definitely worth it. So.
Yeah. All the jumpsuits B&K?
The Cisco Kids B&K, and then my French and my Eyelet are both pros.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, if you happen to place in the top three at Branson, you will definitely get some really cool. I don't want to say too much, but We partnered with B&K on something, so there's some really cool things that B&K are doing with the Branson Elvis Festival this year, which is awesome. So, um, I don't ask everyone this, but I am curious. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. Yeah, there's something different about you, and I like that. But I'm just going to ask you a question. I'm going to put you on the spot. All right. It's not fair for me to do this, but I'm going to do it. In this business, Gray, where do you see yourself in 5 years? You're going to be 23 years old, in your prime. You've had a chance to more than double the years you've already been doing it, gain experience. Where are you going to be at? Where do you want to be at in this business in 5 years, 2030?
Well, I definitely want to be an ultimate within the next 5 years. I want that. I I want to see myself making an impact in the ETA world, and creating a great fan base and a good career and, lots of friends, because I haven't done every single ultimate qualifier. I may have been doing this for 4 years, but I ain't done everything. And, I'm always hungry to do new things. And by 5 years, I just hope that, I see myself, you know, I hope that I've made a change, within now. And I know I will, I'm confident that something will happen. And I know it's not easy, but, I'm really committed to it. This is something that's, very, very special, and I'm very blessed to do it. So within the next 5 years, I hope to be an ultimate, and I hope to make an impact.
I like it. I like the answer. Along the way, I would just say, listen to your father. Sports analogies and entertainment, they do work together. Listen to your father, and don't let anyone ever define what you can or cannot do. Make that you figure that out on your own. You set the bar, because everyone, especially someone like you that's talented, and I believe that you have the ability to realize your goals, but don't let anyone set that bar for you. You set it, because a lot of people, especially the more and more popular you get out there and people are going to see you coming, people will want to tear you down. They're going to want to lower that bar for you. Don't let it happen. Don't let it happen. In fact, if you think it's here, raise it to here. You know what I mean? Because that's where the magic happens, and not everyone has the ability to be there and realize it. So, but I think you do. I think you do. And it's been fun talking to you.
Yes, sir.
All right. You excited about Branson? I mean, it's 2 weeks. I'll see you in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild. It hasn't even sunk in yet that I'm going to Branson. It's really, really cool to be on that stage, and I'm doing new songs and everything that I don't really do as much. Some I do a lot, but um, kind of doing some new things, and I know that it's got a fantastic band that's gonna be there. I know y'all have great lighting, and I know you've worked your tail off making this thing really special. So I'm very excited. Y'all really do put on something good, because I've looked at past videos of all the other guys and whatnot, and it really is cool how y'all put it on. Y'all have great technology with it. So it's very different from all the other contests that I've been to. So I haven't even been there. So, but
Here's the cool thing about the Branson Elvis Festival that you don't get. So, and listen, I'm not saying anything negative towards anyone. Change a Habit, great. EAS, great. All the different Elvis bands out there, they're incredible. Okay, they are. And I respect all of them. And there's other bands that aren't even those that are also very, very, very talented. Great. The Legends band is different because and it's been the same guys forever. They back up, 50, 60 different acts, over the course of years, expertly, perfectly. So not just Elvis, but every kind of music. And they do it flawlessly, and they do it night after night, and it's incredible. And all the licks and everything are there. And we have a theater where it's all set up so that all the band guys are in ears. So you're not getting the massive volume of guitar amps and bass rigs and keyboard monitors and all this stuff that's just flooding the stage with sound so that you as a vocalist can't hear in your monitors. That is only improved significantly by the fact that we have, and I kid you not, I tell them this all the time, and it's the truth. I've had sound men all my life, and some are great and some are, okay, and some are horrible. This is by far, not even close, the best sound guy ever that I've ever worked with, period. His name's Austin. He's amazing. And so what you have is a situation where you got a band that knows the material and you've got the best possible sound. And because the band isn't loud, because they're in ears and they're not, dishing out sound out of amps and everything else, what you have is the ability to raise the volume of you and your performance on stage. So you're hearing everything perfectly mixed, loud. You're hearing yourself perfect. And it makes for a really nice opportunity to go out there and sing your best, and I love the fact that guys that come to this contest are in that position. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I mean, yeah, I've seen the band. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's because they do multiple things. It's not just Elvis. That's talent. That's a good group right there.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, I appreciate you. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm telling you, I got a feeling he's up and coming. You're going to hear a lot more about him. I'm thankful for you for coming on ETA Files. Great. Thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only. Oh, before we go, Grey, people need to know more about you. All right. You have social media. You got a website. What do you got? Tell people how to find out more about you.
You can find me on Facebook and Instagram. Those are the two social media platforms that I have. And everything that I do, I post on there, any contests or any shows that I have coming up. And that's what I got going on.
All right. So
get on there.
Facebook, Instagram, what's your handle? Is it just Grey Galloway? What is it?
It's Grey Galloway.
All right. Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to want to follow this guy. He's got a future. There's no doubt about it. I appreciate you coming on. Thank you, buddy. See you in 2 weeks.
Yes, sir. See you in 2 weeks.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Grey Galloway. Thanks. Thanks for tuning in this week to the ETA Files. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And as always, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join the ETA Files community. And if you're looking for something a little different, be sure to stop by my podcast, The Ryan Files. Keep rocking, my friends, and I'll see you next week with another story from the Elvis Tribute Artist world. In the meantime, check out these video links below.